Hi, this is Russell Oakes. I'm the Box Telematics Customer Services Manager, and I'm going to take you through some of the aspects of the SPOTON tracking software. This video is going to show you the journeys and the journey details sections of the SPOTON tracking, which will give you the in-depth view of exactly what one of your vehicles or all of your vehicles have been doing. So we're back on the fleet screen as I showed you on the last video, and what we're going to do, there's two ways to get to this same information, but if you wanted to view the the journeys of a certain vehicle, all you need to do is right click on it or select it with a left click and then click at the left hand sidebar. If you select journeys at first, what this will give you is a breakdown of every single journey that has occurred over the period that you select on the left hand side. So most of SPOTON, all of the reports, they have a date range section on the left hand side. This date range allows you to change it to there's many different options there. As you can see, you can specify a particular date from one date to another. Today and preceding is the normal option. So if we do today and preceding 7 days, okay, so the information you get here is automatically sorted by the most recent journeys at the top, and the journey that was the longest time ago was at the bottom. And what you can see for each journey is the date that it occurred, the start time, which is the time when the ignition was turned on, that the box detected the ignition being turned on, the end time, which is when the box detected the ignition being turned off, and then you've got the time. Now the time just shows the total time in between those two, so it's the length of the journey essentially. If we use this bottom one as a good example, you've got 7:39 to 8:08, which is a 28-minute journey. Next is the distance, which is in miles, so it's a 12.3 mile journey that was carried out. The driver at the time, if you've got multiple drivers driving the same vehicle, you can see who did that journey. You've got the departed from, which is the just the address which it left from, and arrived at, which is the address it arrived at. Now you'll see these ones are in purple. Geofences, I keep saying I'll come back to, but these are geofence locations, so it's predefined locations where you said if a vehicle is in this section, in this area, then say that it's actually here, which is why it's in purple, and it's why it just says box office rather than our address in Coleshill. Now, one of the other bits of information you get from here is the performance information. So you've got HA and HB, which stand for harsh acceleration and harsh braking. Harsh acceleration is detected by the box tracker, as is harsh braking, and only by the box tracker products at this time. And it gives you a count of how many harsh braking or harsh acceleration events have happened during that journey. So on this one, during this journey to the offices, there was 3 occurrences where they had to brake quite abruptly, and the unit detected that. You've also got the maximum speed that was registered on that journey. So 37 miles an hour, 39.5. So just the top level. Then you've got idle start, idle journey, and idle end. Now an idle event is counted as when a vehicle hasn't actually moved anywhere for 5 minutes or more by default, and that can be changed, but by default it's 5 minutes. If the vehicle's ignition is turned on to begin with, and while the engine's running, while the ignition is turned on, the vehicle doesn't go anywhere for 5 minutes at the beginning, then that's counted as an idle start event. So you get one idle start event is where they've just gone out, turned on the ignition, and then just not gone anywhere for 5 minutes. Maybe waiting for the engine to warm up, something along those lines. Then you've got idle journey. So if they set off on their journey and then all of a sudden they got caught in traffic or something along those lines, then if they were sat mid-journey for 5 minutes or longer, that would count as an idle journey event, or an idle event during the journey. And then you've got idle end, which is if you've ended your journey with by being idle just before you ended it. So you're driving along, you pulled up where you wanted to be. For some reason you were sat in the vehicle for 5 minutes before actually turning the ignition off, and when you did turn the ignition off, then that would count as an idle journey an idle end event. So it's just some general kind of an idea of what actually went on that journey. So that's the journey details in general. A lot of the information we're going to see from the reports later on is based on this sort of information. So the date, the time that the journey started, that it ended, the time, the distance. The reports will show this basic information in different ways that will be useful to different people. Now, one thing you can do from here is to actually drill down and look at a particular journey to see what happened on it minute by minute, rather than just as an overview. So if we take this as an example, if we right click on this one, select view journey details, then it shows us this journey. So what you've got here is, again, summarizing the same information as we saw before: the start time, the end time, duration, distance, from and to. What you also get on the right hand side is a speed profile, which is a graph, the bottom of the graph being 0 miles per hour, top of it being 90. So you can see what kind of speeds they were doing. If you have the speeding option turned on for your fleet, which is one of the optional extras, you will see when the vehicle has exceeded the speed of the road speed limit that it was travelling on at the time. Any time that it exceeds the road speed limit, then you'll see red sections on the speed profile. So the more red there is, the more they were breaking the speed limit. So you can see that at a glance if it's a particularly bad journey. But if we click on if you left click here, you can expand it. And when you expand it, you see each step-by-step, minute-by-minute piece of information about that journey. So we can see that minute by minute, it's just moving through. You've got moving. You've got the speed it's doing at the time. You've got the current distance it's covered at the time up until that point. You've got the bearing. You've got a site, which again is geofences. So if it's entered into a site, you'll see that site name there, and then the location, which is just the address. Again, the driver. If you've got one vehicle with different drivers, you can see who was doing that journey at the time, and then the latitude and longitude, which may or may not be useful to you, but it's there. And you can zoom to each individual event. So if there's something you want to see about the journey, which road they were on, which way they were facing at the time, things like that. And of course, the same here. Any part of the map, you can start switching to the satellite view, so you can see, get a bit of a more of a real world representation of what's being logged and where they were, as it usually comes in handy for some people. And that's about it, really. I mean, that's the two sections which give you the real kind of nitty-gritty as to what's happened with the vehicle over a particular period. As I say, this information is what the rest of the reports are based on. So if you do look at the reports and there's something you need to query, if you look back at this section instead for the same date period that you're querying, you should be able to see exactly what happened that you might be concerned about on the report. But the next thing I'm going to go to is the reports themselves. But that's all for this video. So thanks for watching.